I'm Mike Dowdy, and this is the School Leadership Show. Welcome to the only podcast dedicated to helping practicing and aspiring school leaders realize their potential, advance their careers, and achieve work-life balance. The School Leadership Show brings together the greatest minds from inside and outside of education to deliver you the insights and tools you need to succeed in school leadership. This is the show we wish we had 20 years ago. This show is about you. We're here to help you become the best school leader you can be while still having a life outside of work. Today's episode is brought to you by Focus at Will. As school administrators, our lives are all about distractions. If you need help maximizing your concentration and attention, try the specially designed streaming audio from Focus at Will. Neuroscience actually works. Learn more at focusatwill.com or look for their app. Focus at Will, music scientifically optimized to boost concentration and attention. In this episode, I interview author, coach, triathlete, and competitive mountain bike racer Selene Yeager. Bicycling Magazine calls her the Fit Chick, and she was a lot of fun to talk to. Selene is a regular contributor to many different fitness magazines on training, nutrition, and injury prevention. I became a big fan when Selene's article, Sitting is the New Smoking, appeared as the cover story in Runner's World in 2013. We talk about how school administrators can combat the health effects of sitting too much in meetings. We also get into strategies for getting yourself to exercise, quote, because it feels good and I enjoy it. Selene shares several of her personal productivity tips and routines, as well as the projects she's currently pursuing. We might have to do a part 2. To learn more about Selene and her work, follow her on Twitter at FitChick3. Enjoy this interview with Selene Yeager. So I'm here with Selene Yeager. Selene, thanks for joining me on the podcast today.
Thanks for having me.
And I first learned about you through the article that you wrote for Runner's World. I think it came out in the summer of 2013, right?
That is possible. It's been a couple of years, but yeah, fairly recent.
And that's okay. And the title of the article was the cover story for that issue of Runner's World was Sitting is the New Smoking. So,
right.
Which is very provocative. And I share that article with absolutely anybody who will take it. And I want to come back to that in a second. But could you tell folks a little bit about yourself and what you do? Because I know there's more to Selene Yeager than just your fantastic writing.
Well, thank you. I am a writer, first and foremost. I contribute mostly to health and fitness titles like Bicycling and Runner's World. I am also a competitive mountain bike racer, which means I ride my fat-tired bike over lots of terrain for many days and try to get to the finish line first. I have also done triathlon. I'm pretty active. I'm a coach. I'm a trainer. I also spend a lot of time sitting because I am a writer, and that some of that research was extremely eye-opening to me. I actually did a book with Dr. James Levine called Move a Little, Lose a Lot on his work, and he's been studying what he called sitting disease. That's actually kind of his life's work. He is one of the inventors of the treadmill desk, and he did a lot of the early research on just the ill effects of sitting too much and how he thinks it's the cause of a lot of problems, not just metabolic, but also orthopedic.
So when you got into doing the research for this article and then working with Dr. Levine, what were some of the things that you learned initially that you just couldn't believe?
You know, the biggest thing that I learned, and I thought, you know, I kind of know a lot about exercise and why exercise is important and all of that, but just the fact that muscle contraction, just general muscle contraction, like the act of standing up and just puttering around, if you will, is so very important. And I think they call it non-exercise activity thermogenesis, which just is a huge way of saying puttering around the house. Like our general getting up, sitting down, doing a lot, like just moving around on a day-to-day basis throughout the day is so much more important than we give it credit for. I mean, that's the thing that blew me away. There are a lot of people looking now at all these enzymes in your blood that, pull out sugar and pull out fat and sort of take care of all that metabolic house cleaning. And I liken it to your computer. Like when you stop using your computer for a bit of time, it shuts down, right? It goes into conservation mode. Your body does the same thing because it thinks something's wrong. So those enzymes start shutting down fairly quickly, which is why people end up with high blood sugar and high triglycerides when they're inactive. And the larger problem with the sitting and smoking is, okay, so we had that step. Like, okay, sitting too much is bad. We need to exercise. But then these researchers in Australia and some other places found that, say you get up in the morning and you do your 30-minute walk or run or whatever you're going to do for your prescribed 30 minutes of exercise that day, and then you sit for the next 8 hours, it completely negates that. And I hate to say that because I don't want to discourage people from exercising, but in many ways it's negated by that much sedentary time. Like the end of the day, the message is you need to break up your sedentary time too. I mean, that exercise is still important for strengthening your heart and does all kinds of wonderful things, but for your general health, you really do need to get up pretty regularly.
So this podcast is designed for school administrators, so people who either are studying to be school administrators or already are. Now, I spent a good portion of my career as an elementary school principal, so I was moving around all the time. I was rarely in my office. But not everybody, there's lots of jobs in school administration that aren't principal. Like now I work in the district office, and a lot of my day is spent in meetings. So
I'm very sympathetic to that. I really am. Yeah.
So I have a couple of strategies that I've used, but I'm curious, because you said you do some coaching. So I imagine you coach folks who work in offices. What do you tell them?
Well, there's a lot of wonderful technology now, and human resources in a lot of offices are very on board with this. I mean, the message is out there, and there are tax breaks and insurance breaks and things that companies for helping getting their employees healthier, right? There are many convertible desks because, let's be clear, the pendulum can swing too far in the other direction, and there are definitely people saying you're not supposed to be on your feet all day either. That's another problem. Like, don't take it to the extreme and never sit down. But you can get a convertible top even to your desk with so it just raises your computer screen and lowers it so you can take a standing break. And then you can take a sitting break when you need one. And just like I know a lot of people who just get these little desktop attachments, or their offices will get them an actual convertible desk that goes up and down. And they just alternate throughout the day. Like when they're going to answer some emails or do some stuff or just want to get off their chair, they stand for a while and do some work. And then when they get tired, you can just let your body be your guide. That's just one very, very simple way. Even if you don't have a convertible desk, honestly, you could stand to do some of your tasks. But it is a bit easier if you have, if you can move your stuff up with you to your eye level.
And now you can I even got for my office a base for my little round conference table that goes up and down. So
yeah, that's exactly what I mean. Yeah, so that kind of stuff goes a long way in helping you just change your body position. And that's really, we're not talking about anything super more profound than that. It's a lot of it is just like engaging your muscles and moving a bit so you're not in this complete rigor mortis, sitting all day position.
What about meetings? So, you have to go sit in a meeting. What do you tell people there?
You can be, it depends on the meeting situation. Are you meeting with one person? If you're meeting with one person, why can't you people walk? Get out and just a lot of people are doing that now. Many companies have a walking path around them or a sidewalk system. You can even go out and get fresh air, or just take a pad, take your phone and speak into it if you want to do a voice dictation. But just get up and be a little creative about it. Like they used to do golf meetings, right?
Right.
That was pretty active. So. If you don't have to sit around the board table, then don't. But if you do, then you do. It's either, if you work at a company where everybody is kind of on board with this, you can integrate stretch breaks into longer meetings, and that's perfectly okay. If you're going to be sitting there for 2 hours, somebody can establish ahead of time, look, we're not going to sit for 2 hours. We're going to get up in the middle of this thing and just move around a bit so we can freshen our brains and our muscles and then sit back down. I mean, I think it's just part of making it okay in the culture. And all it takes is somebody to say something.
Well, and it's interesting that you say that because that's, I do a lot of teacher observations, and I have over the course of the last 10 or 15 years as an administrator. And that's probably one of the most frequent comments I make to a classroom teacher is incorporate more movement into your lesson.
Yes.
Because the students need it just as much as the adults, probably more. And
they absolutely do. And there's good there's very, very sound research that getting your blood circulation to your brain is equally important for thought, as it is for your heart and for everything else. Like, we're all one organism here.
And I even try to tell people too, especially if I'm the one running the meeting, I'll try to tell people ahead of time, yeah, we'll have some breaks in here so you can get up and move around. But if at any time you need to get up, go ahead, because, it's okay.
And it's fine. It's right. That's what I'm saying. Like, just all it takes is really just making it okay. And then people don't feel like they need to sit like statues throughout the whole thing.
So I want to take it back a little bit to the, what all that sitting does to folks. You mentioned the raising the blood sugar, and I imagine that, can help, lead to diabetes or pre-diabetes. What are some of the other symptoms and effects on our bodies that you kind of uncovered during your research?
Of the sitting?
Yeah.
Yeah, well, a lot of it is orthopedic. I mean, you become, there's so many. I mean, a lot of back pain, hip pain, sitting, if you look at the sitting posture, it shortens, the hip flexors, which are in the front of your body, while stretching out your glutes. And that's not really great for you because that leads to relatively weak glutes. And your glutes, that's your butt, for people who don't know, are supposed to be the strongest, most supportive muscle in your body. They drive your walking. They support your spine. When they're weak, the whole house of cards falls apart. And I think you see a lot of knee pain, hip pain, back pain as a result of the weakening of that very important muscle by sitting on it all day.
Okay, so what kinds of things do you do to stay active? You mentioned a ton of biking, and I like in your email signature, you say ride your bike lots.
Yep. That's what I do. I mean, I do. I ride lots. I mean, it's part of, quote unquote, my job, so there is that. But I try in general to move my body in lots of different ways, so I don't become one-dimensional in any way. And I'm a little fidgety, so it's easier for me to get up. But I do try to not sit for more than even a half hour, or certainly not an hour without at least getting up. At least just getting up and walking to get water or walking around. Like, it just helps my brain. It helps my thought processes. I do, if I'm sitting for a long time, and I will just do, like, if I'm on a plane or somewhere where it's really hard to get up because the seatbelt sign is on and all that. I mean, I will do just like isometric contractions, which are just sitting there and straightening out your leg a bit and getting your quads moving and doing some contractions of your glutes to get those moving, just to keep your muscles engaged so they're not just sitting there inactive.
So in terms of exercise in general, what would you say, because you mentioned at the beginning that even if I did my 30 minutes on the treadmill this morning, and I think I ended up, even with that, I'm almost to 14,000 steps. I'll talk about
great.
But I'll talk about fitness trackers in a second. But thinking about that time in the morning, or that the exercise that people, their planned exercise versus just, trying to integrate movement into their day. Where do you point people in terms of the most bang for their buck? People with limited time, maybe limited access to gyms. Where do you send them?
Well, it depends on a couple of things. It depends on their motivation and their fitness. I'm going to be completely straight up. Like, I do not exercise for exercise's sake. Like, in a million bike rides and a million walks and a million whatever it is, I'm not doing it because, boy, I need exercise. I'm doing it because it feels good and I enjoy it. So I think it's really important for anyone listening out there, like, if they feel like they must, do this quote-unquote exercise, they're probably not going to. They need to find something that is engaging to them, that they enjoy. So if you do enjoy, like, walking, then I think that you should integrate more more opportunities to walk within your day. So you sit. People prioritize it more, I guess is what I'm saying. Like a lot of people keep all that stuff like really low on their priority list. They don't prioritize movement at all. So I would say like look for opportunities to move, look for ways to move that you enjoy. I mean, personally, I don't really like to go to the gym, but I know I need to do some strength workout because it helps me. So I'll just do stuff at the house. I'll do push-ups and I'll do those, have a medicine ball here and I'll just do some exercises. And it doesn't take much. It's really, honestly, like 10 minutes goes an awful long way when you're doing stuff like push-ups and, like squats. You don't need a whole lot of it.
Well, I think people think that they have to have the perfect plan. The okay plan that you follow is better than the perfect one that you don't.
Oh, it absolutely is. And I just tell myself 4 moves. Just do 4 moves. Like, because I get busy too, right? But I'm like, I need to strength train. I'm getting a little older, and that's really important when you get a little older, especially if you do want to be competitive, or even if you don't. I mean, you start losing muscle pretty quickly, and it's important to hang on to it. So it doesn't take more than that. People just have this idea that they need to, and I think, The Biggest Loser did us a disservice that way, and a lot of the media does us a disservice that way. They think they need 45 minutes, and they think they need to do all this stuff. And if you just get down on your living room floor and do 10 push-ups, you'll see you've done something. You'll feel it, right? I mean, there's no question that you have actually just done some work, and that's when you've done something good for your body.
So you are a busy person, and you got a lot going on.
I'm a mom. I do all kinds of stuff. Yep.
So what kinds of do you have any kind of productivity tips for people? What are some of the some people don't like the word hack, but what are some of the life hacks that you've gone after that you've gotten some pretty good results from?
I think the biggest life hack that we all could manage is time management, because everybody's just like, we don't have time. And if you just look at how much time people spend on Facebook, and I am a fan, I'm not going to slam Facebook and social media, but these things are giant time sucks, right? Email, social media. I mean, it's not even so much TV anymore, or like a Netflix binge or whatever you're going to do. I'm not saying take all that stuff out. I find myself much more productive, however, if I just bundle my time. So I'll tell myself, okay, Celine, you're going to sit down and you're going to work on this, whatever the feature is or whatever thing I have to write, because that's what I do. You're going to work on that from 9 to 11, and you're not going to look at Facebook, and you're not going to do any of that stuff until 11. And then at 11, go nuts, go on social media and take a break. And I think if you just give yourself, because your brain then won't be nagging you. Like, oh, I wonder what's going on over here. I wonder what's going on, because it knows it's going to get a chance to check that out. And then it can just calm down and concentrate. I know this sounds kind of crazy, but it does work. That's how I sort of structure my day, because then I know I need to do like a training ride, or I need to do some of my stuff. So I just put anchor points in my day, like, okay, at this point I'm going to take a break, I'm going to do this. At this point I'm going to do my ride. At this point I'm going to take care of all these emails. And it's just time management. And most people don't take the time to manage their time.
Well, and I think that whole idea of batching, so doing like activities together, so you're minimizing transitions where you lose time. I think that's kind of what you're talking about is, you're going to do all your email all at once and then be done with it and then move on to the next thing.
Right, and then enjoy a little bit of a social media binge and then be done with it. So you're not just like flickering back and forth.
Now,
flitting away time.
I promised I'd come back to this. What do you think about fitness trackers? Like I wear a Fitbit, and I'm a little obsessed with it. But I mean, do you use things like that either in your personal work or with your coaching clients? What do you think of those?
Yeah, I think they can be. I've tested a lot of them. For my own training, I use training apps, that are not unlike some of those things, because they're fun and I like to keep track of that stuff. The problem with them is that once people take them off, like, it's the same kind of thing as sort of a gym. Like, the studies show that most people wear them for 6 months and then they're in a drawer. Like, the novelty wears off and they go into a drawer. And, like, why is that happening? we don't really know why that's happening, except the novelty wears off, right? So I think that they can be, I think they can be very fun, and I think they can be excellent. I think that it needs to be part of of sort of all of this, though, like this larger picture that we're talking about, like maybe um, using them to set some goals for yourself. You know, just like keep those goals fresh, because if you don't keep those goals fresh, they might just get stale and you'll get disinterested. You know, so I tell people like sign up for a 5K in spring, like a walk, like a charity walk or something like, because it'll give you something to use that device to get some concrete goals toward, you know, and then find something else. Like I think if you just keep throwing carrots out there that help you make sense of that data that you're getting and use it, it keeps it fresher than just having it for the sake of having it.
It makes total sense. And I'd be curious to see if that, that whole idea, why people do lose interest in the fitness trackers. Is that an upcoming feature? Are you writing about that?
I'm not currently. I mean, I'm just following some other people who are writing about it. So, I mean, it seems to just be a novelty thing. It's the same thing like people go to a gym like in January, everyone's going to go, and then they're going to last X number of weeks, and then they're not. You know, it's that thing. Like once people take them off, they tend not to put them back on.
Well, and I think it goes to kind of what you said before, that it has to be something that you enjoy, something that you look forward to doing. If it's unpleasant, you're going to find every reason to avoid it.
Oh, absolutely. There's no question about that at all. Yeah.
Now, I want to ask you about, whenever I talk to people who are productive, get a lot done, seem to have their act together, I'm always curious about morning routines. And even evening routines, because I find for myself, my morning routine doesn't go well unless I've done what I need to do the night before. How do you approach those ends of your days?
How do I approach those ends of my days? I don't save anything till the evening, anything important, because I'm not an evening person. By the end of the day, I don't want to go to the gym. I don't want to do like I want to have dinner and I want to calm down. Like that's that's my lull. And I think you need to know yourself. You know, my husband, not a morning person, desperately wants to be a morning person, will never be a morning person. So if you're constantly fighting yourself to be a morning person, you're in a losing battle, right? Like, first, know your times, know your natural energy times, and sort of schedule yourself with them. I think that's pretty important. I mean, everyone recommends, exercise first thing in the day, because that's, when life doesn't throw curveballs at you and such. And that's a good recommendation, but for someone who's not a morning person, that might make them feel like a failure always. I think the most important thing is to have your stuff together, though. Like, so when I was training for Ironman a few years ago, which is a big thing, and I had to be in the pool every morning at 5:30, which I did not love, but I had all my swim bag was packed, my stuff was ready, the coffee was, all I had to do was push a button, and so it took me 5 minutes off the pillow to grab my bag and get in the car. So like I made it fail-proof for myself. And I think that goes a long way. No matter what time of day you're going to do what, like just make sure that all the ducks are in line, so when you get home from work, if your plan is to go play tennis or go to Zumba or whatever you want to do, your shoes, your bag, like it's all there. So you don't have to go hunting and looking and then give up, because you will. If it starts to be a hassle, you're just going to say, forget it. This is a waste.
So getting your act together. I've heard people say, even if your plan is to work out after work, change your clothes before you leave work.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Like that's, don't go home.
Yeah.
Don't, make it as easy as possible for yourself. And I use all kinds of things. Like I have all different playlists on my iPod for different things. They're on my phone now, so which I love because I don't even need two devices. But because I'm human too. I mean, there's sometimes when it's like a little chilly or whatever, and I don't feel like going out. I'm just like, I put on my little, it's time to go out and do my ride or whatever playlist, and it's sort of a Pavlovian response almost. It's like, okay, the music's on, we're going to do this now. It really helps. I mean, little things that you can do for yourself really help.
So are there any, if you were going to recommend a book or two related to health and wellness, health and fitness, life balance, things like that, what would you recommend to people?
Wow, you stumped me. I'll be honest. I'm not. I don't read a lot of that realm. So I actually don't know what I would recommend
All right, well,
reading for.
we can come back to it if one pops into your head. What about podcasts and blogs?
I love them.
Any ones that you would point people to that are always on your, okay, I got a new episode on this one, I'm listening to it.
Well, these are not, there are many in my realm, right? There are many cycling podcasts, many training. They're all very interesting, and I do listen to those. But again, going back to just things that you like, I'm a huge sucker for This American Life. So if I want to do something that's kind of drudgery, when I put away the laundry, I put on This American Life because I enjoy it. I'm engaged. I love listening to it. So whatever I'm doing is just secondary to me listening to that. It's almost an excuse to listen to the podcast. And I think if you can find those things, like I like Radiolab, I like This American Life, I'm just a bit of an NPR geek. It just makes, like, when they had Serial, I was losing my mind. I don't know if it was just like I could not wait to get that podcast on.
Mine's Science Friday. I love that one.
I like that too. Yeah. It's those kind of things, right? That you actually did. It just stimulates your brain. So whatever you're doing otherwise is secondary. It's almost automatic. I know people who do like all their treadmill stuff. Like they don't love the treadmill, but they love their podcast. So it's those two things become connected in their mind. And then all of a sudden the treadmill is kind of a treat, because now they're going to listen to their favorite podcast.
I've done that. Now we're getting toward winter in the Northeast, and I'm training for.
Oh yeah, like when I'm on my rollers, which are like inside stationary things that you do on your bike when it's raining in 35. Like Serial got me through last winter. It was just awesome. Like I was like, I'm gonna listen to Serial and like ride my bike inside.
Well,
And I don't like riding my bike inside, but it was great because I was so engaged.
I'm the same way with the treadmill, and I made this deal with myself that the only time I will watch Sons of Anarchy on Netflix is when I'm on the treadmill.
And your heart rate must be going like sky high because my heart rate is going sky high during Sons of Anarchy when I'm just sitting there.
Oh,
it's awesome. Actually probably a good idea to be exercising while you watch it.
Just got to pay attention though, and not like fall off the treadmill.
Right.
So, what kinds of things are you working on now in terms of your writing?
What am I working on? I am finishing up. I'm very knee deep in two projects. One, I'm doing a women-specific sports and nutrition book with this physiologist and nutritionist Stacy Sims out at Stanford in California. That book is the manuscript is done. We're in the editing process right now, and I'm working on a book proposal with this man, Nathan Briner, who works fascinating work with chronic pain.
Oh, wow.
And how people can, really, really interesting work.
From like a nutrition and fitness perspective, or
no,
how are you coming
really
at it?
Some more. There's some exercise component, but it begins with the idea of that people feel pain in limbs they don't have, right? People lose arms and legs and they still hurt. And so pain is a perception of threat in the brain, and it all starts there. And like how maybe you can manage that, and what that means. It's mind-blowing stuff. It's really fascinating.
Oh,
so
that's cool.
It's very cool.
Now, just a question on the writing. When you're collaborating with people in writing, I'm guessing they don't live in your town.
So, they do not. They do not.
What kinds of? How do you collaborate with them remotely? What kinds of tools do you use?
It kind of depends. Like with this guy, I usually spend what I call a little immersion time with them. I just spend time talking to them, recording them. So I do physically. Like he does these seminars at this very elite spa ranch in Mexico. And I went down as his guest and took in his seminars and spent time talking to him and really got to know him. And I have reams and reams and reams of tape, from our conversation. So I just really go in, and when you co-author with someone, it's almost like you're channeling them. So you have to like them. Like I won't work with somebody I don't like because I don't want to channel somebody I don't like. Right. But then you need to get their voice and just get them, and you need to spend some time with someone to do that. You can't just do that via email or Skype even. But once you have gotten to know them and have spent some time in their space and hear their voice and get their philosophy, then modern technology makes it pretty easy to take it from there, via all those other communications.
Very cool. So any parting shots, anything that you we haven't talked about that you want to make sure you leave folks with, particularly those sedentary school administrators?
Again, I think it's just most people I know don't necessarily love to exercise, but they don't also want to be sedentary. There are things that they do like, whether it be hiking, whether it be playing with grandkids or kids or that kind of thing. And I would just start, think about that and think about capitalizing and prioritizing your time to incorporate more of that, just more moving through this life and away from the electronics for a little bit. It's just, you'll feel so much better, and you'll be able to do your job better. And I think that's the thing that there have been days where I'm like, I can't do a bike ride. I need to finish this chapter. But quite frankly, the bike ride facilitates me finishing that chapter, because you can't. You're not a machine. You have to go out and make milk, as I say. The cow can't be on the milking machine all day long. It won't have any milk. It needs to go out into the pasture, eat some grass, breathe some fresh air, walk around, and then it can come back to the machine. So, don't be that cow. Cow in that milk machine all day.
I think that's going to be in my tease for the podcast about cows making milk. I think. So where can folks go, Selene Yeager, to learn more about you and your work?
SeleneYeager.com.
Okay. That's SELENE and Yeager, YEAGER.
Yep.
.com. Okay. And
yep.
you're on Twitter. What's your Twitter handle?
It's FitChick3. I didn't designate myself Bicycling Magazine. I've been their Fit Chick columnist for a long time, so a lot of my handles are Fit Chick. So Twitter's FitChick3.
That's a lot to live up to when you commit to a Twitter handle like that.
It really is, and it's kept me honest for many years.
Well, Selene, thank you so much for your time. I appreciate it so much. You've shared a ton that I know folks will get a lot out of, and I really enjoyed the conversation. So thank you.
Me too. Thanks so much.
Thanks for listening to the School Leadership Show, a podcast for aspiring and practicing school leaders by school leaders. Send your comments, questions, and show ideas to mike@schoolleadershipshow.com. And now it's time to rate the podcast in iTunes and leave a comment. No, really, it's time to do it. So when you're done here, go right to iTunes, rate the podcast, leave a comment. Thanks.